This is Patty Davis with Crooked Tree Creations. I hope this video will give you inspiration for your front porch decor this Christmas and winter season. Let's get started.
So very quickly, what I wanted to show you, what I'm working on, is this chair, okay? You can see it's just an old kitchen chair. I actually bought this at a arts festival. It had this pot, which was actually white. I spray painted it almond, and it had a mum in it, and it just sits right down in there. Had the mum coming out. It was absolutely gorgeous. I loved it. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to reuse it for Christmas, and I'm going to use this every year until it's too ratty that I can't use it anymore. But I'm going to use this for Christmas, and I'm just going to put some pine sticking out, some pine cones, a nice red bow, and we'll be good. Okay? So I just wanted to give you a kind of a thing of, you know, what I am working from. You can see the back itself, I'm not going to have much room to go out. So I'm going to probably kind of go up and down. Okay, so I'm not going to keep the chair here. I'm just going to work out of the pot, and you'll see what I'm doing here in just a minute. Okay, so first things first, I already put a piece of styrofoam down in the bottom. I zip tied it because, again, I am not going to glue anything to this pot because I'm going to reuse it come summertime. I'm going to put some summer flowers out and everything, so I don't want to glue anything. So I have this zip tied, and what I did, I used two 8-inch zip ties, zip tied them together, and then went around. Okay, went through the bottom hole there. There's actually 4 here. I just went through 2 of them. Came down one, went back in, and zip tied it at the top. And I'm going to do the same thing again. I'm going to kind of crisscross it here with another piece of styrofoam. Now, I got this Floral Foam, I think, from a friend. It is old and discolored. I'm using this for me. So I am not worried too much about if it being discolored or anything like that. It's for me. I'm not selling this. So there you go. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to take 2 more 8-inch zip ties. Okay, and just pay attention to where the flat part is here. Okay, and make sure I'm going into the flat part. Like the flat part is on top, this flat part is kind of on top. Okay, go until I can hear it just start to click. Okay, now I am going to find my wire cutters, and I'm gonna snip this off. Okay, I'm gonna snip this off right here. And there you go. So from here, I'm going to actually go underneath this zip tie. See, just like that. Put this block on and kind of zip tie this on. That way, when the wind blows, this isn't going to come completely out. If it moves around, it moves around. I'm not too worried about it. Now, if I were to sell this, I probably would hot glue some of this down and kind of make it a little bit more stable. Again, this is for me. We'll see, you know, how it works. Hopefully with the wind and stuff like that, it should hold. It'll be fine. Okay, so from this point, I'm going to start putting some pine in. I ended up buying this at a garage sale for 25 cents. It's just an old, round pine base, but the dimensions on this is perfect. I mean, it's a little on the inside of the pot, but it's almost perfect. And I figure if I kind of get this pine decor down a little bit, it'll kind of hide the actual pot itself. So when it sits in the chair, yes, I know it looks like a toilet, doesn't it? But when it sits down, it might hide a little bit of that pot. So, and the only thing I'm thinking of to use this to kind of tie it down, now these pots have those little holes at the top. I think this was originally used as one of those, like a hanging pot. So if I can just get a little bit of wire to go through these holes and wire this to it, there you go. That's going to hold that on. And then I'm going to use a couple other things, and I'll show you here in a little bit what I'm going to do. But in the meantime, I'm going to just wire this on and we'll see what happens, okay? Okay, so I got this wired on, and I mean, just maybe fluff it a little bit. I already tried to fluff it kind of before I got it on there, but we really don't need to worry about anything going inwards. Just kind of get it to go up and out. Okay, so it's kind of going a little bit down over the pot, and it's good. Okay, you know, nothing's going to be perfect, and I'm not going to expect it to be perfect. This here is going to be my backside, so I'm going to kind of lift this up a little bit. You know what? Let's do this. So this is even. Okay, I'm going to make this my backside right here and have this angled up and the rest of these kind of going down. Okay, that's how I'm going to do this. Now, from this point, what I'm going to do, I'm going to kind of cheat a little bit. It's really not cheating. I have some Walmart Garland, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut about 20 inches from the end, okay, and go about 20 inches. And I'm going to use my wire cutters, cut that off. So what I'm going to do, I am going to bend this in half. And what I'm going to do is just kind of place this in here and then I'm going to attach it to this styrofoam. And what I'm going to use with the styrofoam is just, I got this stem wire from Joann Fabrics. And one thing you got to pay attention to, because it doesn't say anywhere on the package, but you got to pay attention to the size of the wire. They have the 22 gauge, and I believe this is probably the 20 gauge. It's a little bit thicker. And it's not so easy to make bows with or anything like that. So because it's thicker, this is what I'm going to use to attach this into the wreath. But I don't need the full 18 inches. So I'm going to cut this in half. Okay, they both went either way. So let's try this again. Okay, I'm going to try holding on to it when I cut it. Okay, I got both of them. And what I'm going to do, I'm just going to bend this in half. And then right there on the stem of this garland, I'm going to push that down, and there it is. Okay. Now we're going to attach more stuff to this to weigh it down. And if you want, you could even kind of take some of these, the branches, because they're just wire, kind of wrap it around and attach it to what we attached to the pot. And it's not going to flop around. Okay? So I'm going to kind of do this going around. I'm not sure how much I'm going to use of it yet. I figure at least 4 pieces. So that would be 8 branches coming out. Okay? So I'm just going to keep doing this going around, and I'll meet you back here. So this is where I'm at. I only used 4 of those 20-inch pieces. Actually, I will say the one that I used for the back, because remember, it's not going to be coming out, it's going to be going up. I only cut this one at 16 because we don't, we want it to stand up, but we don't want it to be like crazy. So, so that's where that is. It's so full already. It's just full of pine. Now I want to get some other texture going through here and stuff like that. So what I'm going to do, let me grab this. Okay, I think I got this at Joann Fabrics last year, but it's the long needle pine. What I'm going to do, I'm going to cut these out. I'm going to cut out these pine cones, save them for something else, because I have other pine cones I'm going to use. I don't like to mix and match pine cones. I know it sounds crazy, but that's just me. If I'm going to use this type of pine cone, I'm going to use all this type. So you'll see what I'm using. Some friends got me these pine cones. I'll show you real quick. They're more of a longer pine cone. So I'm going to use a bunch of these. So I don't want to have a couple of these going through there too. So I'm just going to take these out so I can use them in something else later on. But I'm going to use a bunch of these, and you'll see what I'm going to do with these. But I'm going to put these in first. So yeah, what I'm going to do first, I'm going to cut these pine cones off. They're just attached with wire. Okay, there's that one, and I'll get this one. Okay, put this over here. And if you can, some of these you can kind of just pull out. This feels like it wants to come, but it's not coming. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to kind of cut this right at the bottom of that. And what I want it to do, I want it to kind of stick out just a little, just enough, just to give it like a different type of pine that we're putting in here. So it's going to be too short to actually stick into the styrofoam. So I think what I'm going to do is hot glue it to what I already have in here. So I'm going to do that. If I was able to pull this out and it had like some wire coming down, like attached to it, then you'd be able to just stick it into the styrofoam. Unfortunately, I was not able to get that to come out. I'm going to keep trying on some of these, but we can't. So I'm going to hot glue, so which means I'm going to turn my hot glue gun on, and I'll be back in just a minute to show you how I'm going to do that. Okay? Okay, so my hot glue is warming up, and I got more glue sticks here ready to go. So what I ended up doing is I cut a bunch of these off. I think there was 6 altogether. And then I have this top part I ended up cutting off. So this will be able to stick down, and I'm going to have that here in the back. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and stick this down in here first. Okay, and make sure it goes down into that styrofoam. Okay, and just kind of adjust this kind of in and out, in between, just there you go. Okay, so we have this, again, it's going up, this is going to be the back. And what I'm going to do now is just glue this to some of what we have already here, okay? And there's really no front side or back side to these. So I'm just gonna find a spot that I think it should go, kind of stick it in there. And the nicer pieces, I'm going to put towards the front. And then like this piece here is actually kind of scraggly looking. If I were to sell something like this, I wouldn't use this piece at all. But again, this is for me. So, and not too many people come up on my front porch. So it's not like I'm going to have anybody observing what I'm doing. So I'm okay with that. So I'm just kind of stick that towards the back there. I really like this piece. That kind of went towards the front. And I think I want a couple of these to go right in the middle too. So I'll have this here. And it doesn't have to be matchy-matchy either. Like, you know, where you have exactly one on one side, you have to have it on the other. We want it to look somewhat natural. So I'm going to put a couple of these in the middle. And that way we have a little height right there in the middle. Okay, and then I'm going to move on. See if I have any other pine or something else I want to use in here. I'm going to try to get that to go into that styrofoam just a tad. Okay. Okay, so see, I love that, just a little bit of different type of pine. I like that just to give it a little bit of extra texture. But I'm gonna look in my stash and see what other pine I can find. I'll be right back. Okay, I got these from Michael's last year, and it just has like little puffs of pine. I think that is gonna work out fantastic. I'm going to just cut these off right at the base. Going to go 1, 2, and then I'm going to keep this one whole, this third one. And that I'm going to stick in the middle, and then I'm going to have these two. Okay, and then I'm going to go to the pine cones. After, yeah, I'm going to show you what I got to do with the pine cones. This is going to be fantastic. I'll be right back. Okay, so let's see. This is what this looks like so far. You can see I have this kind of in the middle. I have one on this side and one on this side. Just enough to give it a little bit more texture. It's not going to stand out. You don't want it to stand out by any means, but it's good. Okay, so what I'm going to do with the pine cones. I have this. This is actually only a 26 gauge. So it's very thin wire. Just in case you're wondering, the higher the number on the wire, the thinner it is. So for bows, I usually like to use like a 22 gauge. This is a 26, so it's a lot thinner, but this actually works very well for these pine cones. But I'm gonna make a nice long piece of wire here. Okay, and what I'm going to do first, I'm going to leave, I don't know, 6 inches. Take my pine cone, kind of get this underneath the top here, wrap it around a couple times. Okay, then from here, I'm going to take another pine cone, kind of wrap it around. And then I'm going to take a third pine cone and wrap that around. Okay, go back to the first one. So we have 3 here. Kind of twist these together. Okay, kind of twist them. So we got a bunch of 3. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to wire these to the stem of that garland. So it's a little bit sturdier. Okay. And there you go. I'm going to do a bunch of these going around. I don't know how many I'm going to do, but if you don't have these longer pine cones, you can use the shorter kind. Again, I only suggest using the same kind of pine cone throughout. Okay, so this is where we are so far. Okay, I just wired these pine cones onto the stem, either of the stem of the garland or the stem of that wreath that I attached very first thing. Okay, so they're on there, but I think I'm heating up my hot glue some more so I can kind of make sure I glue them in place where I want them to stay. Because remember, this is going to be outside. We're going to have wind. It's going to blow. And I want to make sure that they stay where I put them. Okay. And I'm also going to be adding these berries that I got from Walmart. They're nice, bright red. They're going to really stand out. And then I'm going to put a bright red bow on the front. So I think this is all we're going to need. I think this is going to turn out so nice. So I'm going to go ahead and just hot glue these kind of right there at the base. Make sure they're kind of stuck into, like, up against the pine. Again, I'm not going to glue anything to the pot because I'm going to be reusing the pot for summer and fall. But I kind of want to hot glue them, kind of shove them in there onto the pine so they stay right where they are. And just a helpful hint, when you are using hot glue, you don't have to use a whole heck of a lot. Just, a couple dabs be plenty. I know people who totally gob it on. You don't have to. It holds just fine with a good dab. If you don't want to use hot glue, I know normally I actually prefer E6000. But when I am on video or anything like that, I always use hot glue just because it's a heck of a lot quicker. If you are crunched on time, definitely go ahead with the hot glue. E6000 takes longer to dry, so you need to obviously have more time when you use the E6000, okay? So again, this is where we are. We have like 2 bunches in the back, 2 bunches towards the front, and 1 bunch here in the middle, okay? Now I'm going to cut each one of these Oh, okay. Here's my wire cutters. Okay, and see all these leaves here? I'm not a big fan of cheap looking leaves, but again, nobody's going to be this close to this. This is going to be seen from the road basically, because not too many people use my porch. So I'm going to go ahead and keep these leaves on just to act as filler, number one, and number two, it's going to be another texture thing. So this might be just a little bit too long. I'm going to cut this down a little bit. Again, just put a little bit of hot glue and then stick it in kind of where I think it would look best. Okay, and there you go. I'm going to do this around the whole thing. Okay, I think I'm happy with this. I love all that red going through there. I think it looks really good. Now I have a bow. The bow is already made. It's that red velvet from Walmart, and I got a little bit of flocking on it. Oops. But I just made a bow, simple bow, and I'm just gonna kind of stick that here in the very front. Again, I'm just gonna tie it to that garland. And that way it's gonna just stick on there, right there in the front, nice and pretty. And it'll kind of lean over the chair. Twist that on all nice and pretty. Like that. Okay, now I'm going to show you how this is going to look in the chair. So I'll be right back. Okay, so I pulled this chair back up on the table, so we got a closer look. All I'm going to do, I'm going to kind of stick this down into the chair. Okay. And I'll adjust the bow once I get it into place on my porch. But yeah, doesn't that look adorable? And again, this is not going to be permanent. I just, you saw in the very beginning, I zip tied the styrofoam to the bottom, so all I have to do is snip the zip tie, and this is going to come right out. That way I can use this in the summertime, I can use it in the fall, the pot, and then I'll be able to just put this back in next Christmas. So it's going to be reusable. Along with this chair, it's going to be perfect. So I hope this acts as some kind of inspiration for something you could do on your front porch. My name is Patty Davis. I'm with Crooked Tree Creations, and I'll see you in our next video.